copy that and put that in. Okay. Now we got a problem here. Now, if you do that, you can see it's not wrapped. Okay. So instead of doing that, why not? Let's create another line. Okay. Let's create another H tag. And again, we add in the line after the below the H tag, and it should pop out below, as you guys can see. Okay. Now, again, you need to add in the parameters for the scroll view below because we want it to be together. Now, another way is that we can make the image along with the text itself using a for in. Okay, so we have to create a different variable, which I will show you in the next tutorial. Okay, now this is something simple, okay, for you to scroll and click on. Okay, in other words to say. Now, I could do the same thing again at the bottom using a scroll indicator, copy, and I'm going to paste that right at the text below. Okay, and then I'm going to add another bracket down here, and that should solve that. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's all following. And I could say this one could be $22. That's expensive. Okay, now we copy this, put this in, 25. Okay, make sure you add some spacer in between. Okay, and that should solve that. And then again at the bottom, we have to fix that. Okay, 30, and should be done on that one. This one we can add a spacer. Bottom, we can add a spacer. That should solve the problem. In between the texts, we also need to add a spacer to make sure it's clarified. Okay. Now, if I click on this, as you guys can see, it scrolls and it follows. Okay. No matter what happens in the scroll view, whatever happens, it's all in there now. Okay. So this is what we have for scroll view. Okay. Another thing that I want to ideally talk about would be alerts. So now coming back to alerts, we can create alerts by doing some padding on top. Okay, so let's do a test drive. Now, with this being done, let's do something at the bottom of the text. Okay, so maybe say at the bottom of the text, let's create another scroll view horizontal indicator again with the H tag. So we have two close brackets to add in. Okay, adding in between 1, 2 at the bottom. Okay, and then in the H tag itself, we need to add in a button. So let's put in a button. Okay. Oops, my bad. And the H tag itself, we're going to add in a button. Okay. Now with that button, we need to indicate what is it about. So let's put the word show alert, just like that. And then we're going to add in a parenthesis again, and we say show alert. And true. Okay. Now, with that being done, we should have a show alert. Now, the problem is, oopsie, we didn't create the alert button. Okay, so we have to go all the way to the top. And just as you guys can see, just above the body, we need to add in something, okay, within that view itself, okay? So let's add in an add state. Now we're going to call it a private var. Now, private var means you can't change anything, okay? That means to say that variable itself, it's a fixed variable. You don't need to do any changes or anything like that, okay? And why is it false? Because before anything happens, it's indicated as a false item, okay? Put it this way. Okay, so do take note about this one. Okay, now here, property levels are not yet supported in the top level code. Okay, so we have placed it in the wrong place. So where do we put it? Put it over here. Now that looks good. Does it look good now? It should work. Yeah, the error is gone. Okay, so always scroll all the way down, and we should see something down here. Now they expect something. Okay, they expect 2 brackets. Okay, so we're gonna add another bracket down here to kick off that, and there's another one to kick away the error. Now that should, you know, remove the problem. Okay, now here we have the show alert. Okay, now here, after we have that show alert button, now remember at the bottom that of the alert that is true, click enter, and dot, we need to put in alert, just like that. Okay, now you have indications like title key is presented, okay, or is presented, error or actions that it will happen. So for me, I would like to choose this one. Okay, is presented. Okay, and we have that as a show alert, and then any errors, well, we can say, well, let's say false. Okay, and then any actions, we can remove that. Okay, that error as well, and there you go. Okay, now here, with that being done, we need to create something for the alert to pop up. So I'm gonna call it alert title, and the title of it would be a text, and then we bracket, and then we create a title form. Okay, so as simple as that. Okay, now by now our alert should work. So if let's say I click that, there should be a title. Okay, now let's say bye. Now to make it a more presentable button, let's change it a bit. Okay, so instead of showing alert, bye, and then with that we need to style it in a sense. So let's see if we can style that. Ground color, let's call it pink dot pink. Let's see if it works. Nah, it doesn't work like that. So because the button itself has been created as a buy button. Okay, but the minute we click that, we have the buy. Okay, buy format. Okay, now with that being done, we also want to create messages. Okay, so for example, under the alert itself, we can go down below. Okay, now after the buy, we can create a message, but again adding a comma, message. Okay, now with that message we need to indicate what type of a message is that, so we call it text, and then we call it let's say, are you sure? There you go, and then we have to close it again to make sure that everything is working well. We have that. Yeah, okay, no worries about that one. Now we try that again. We click buy, are you sure? There you go. Okay, now we can also make it more identifiable by using various points. For example, by creating ID, or maybe say even creating a cancellation point and changing, adding buttons and to change the actions form. Okay, so now here you can see that we have the buttons again. Okay, I'm not doing any changes for this one. So we have this one, by the buttons, alert, show presented, text. Okay, now we could add in the message. We keep that message. Okay, now in that message afterwards, which is this one, as you guys can see, now make sure you do it after that. Okay, and then we can add in a primary button from there. I'm gonna call it a primary button. Okay, now with that primary button, we're gonna call it cancel. Okay, and then close it and come. There you go. Okay, now it's saying an error. Okay, on the window must be separated with the Okay, so my bad on that one. So let's add a comma. Sure, comma should work, which it does not. Why? Because I'm using the wrong language. Nope, I'm using the right language. Button. So basically, I'm removing the message. Now, the next option that we can do with alerts is that we could create an option point where people could select whatever they want to select. Okay, with the option, of the alert itself. So first off, we need to add in two buttons, which looks like this. Number one, we need a primary button, and we need to say that it cancels things. Okay. Now, and then add in a comma. Now, just by adding one button, we're going to have an error that will pop up soon, as you guys can see. See, you need a secondary button. Missing argument for parameter, secondary button in call. So we need to add in a secondary button. What's up with the secondary button? Okay, so now, I thought primary was good enough, so we all have to go for secondary school as well. Now, coming back, now we're going to add a secondary button, where in that secondary button, we're going to add in a destructive force. Okay, may the force be with you guys today. And we're going to add in the tags, and we're going to call it, that bracket, no, not that bracket. We're going to call it tags, and within that tags, we're going to add in a tags called delete. Oh, sorry, bye. Okay, so with that being done, it should be fine, but we are missing something. Again, we need to print out something, so we need to print, let's call it bye now. Okay, now with that being done, it should be fine and working perfectly. Okay, oh, fix by adding a comma. Okay, now here we're missing a buy button, so after the buy button, we need to add a comma, and that should work. Now, let's try it out. Click a buy, and we have a cancel or buy. Okay? Now changing this, we call it, are you sure you want an Americano? Now, no matter how big or how long my sentence is, it should work fine. So as you guys can see, you have an alert coming out. If I click buy, it will automatically buy. If I add some, well, I do need to add some codes for the destructive button in order for it to buy, And if, let's say, I do want to buy it, I can cancel it from the shopping cart, and it will disappear from the shopping cart itself. Okay? Now, you can show multiple alerts, but that's something for the advanced course, where I will put it in for the next lesson. Now, thanks for watching the video, and do remember to subscribe. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a wonderful day, and Swift